Hey ninjas, welcome back. In this video, we're going to learn about timers and basic asynchrony in JavaScript. These two concepts are super important, so let's start with the timers concept, and then we'll talk about basic asynchrony. Timers in JavaScript are used to control when a piece of code runs. We can delay the execution of code, or repeat it after a certain time interval. And JavaScript provides two main timer functions, setTimeout and setInterval. SetTimeout is used when you want to run a piece of code after some time. This is the syntax. The first parameter is a function to be executed. And the second parameter is the time in milliseconds, or 1000 milliseconds equals 1 second. Now let's look at one example. Here in this example, the message "Hello ninjas" will appear after 3 seconds. So basically, setTimeout delays the execution of the code. And we can also cancel a timer before it gets a chance to run. For this, we use clearTimeout and pass it the timer's ID. To do this, we store the setTimeout function in a variable. Then, we call clearTimeout variable to stop the timer before it executes. Here the message "Hello ninjas" never appears because we stopped the timer before it executed. SetInterval works just like setTimeout. But instead of running the code once, it keeps running it after every fixed interval. Now let's see one example so that you can see how it exactly works. Here, we start with count equals 0. SetInterval runs the function every 1 second. Each time it runs, it increases count by 1 and prints it. Here we can use alert instead of print to see the output on the screen. Now, as you can see, it keeps going until we stop it. And we can stop it using clearInterval counter. Now here, the code will print the count up to 5. And then stop automatically because we used clearInterval counter. Finally, this is how you can stop an interval when a certain condition is met. So ninjas, that's all about timers in JavaScript. Basically, we use setTimeout when we want to run some code once after a delay, and setInterval when we want to repeat the code again and again after a certain time. And whenever we want to stop them, we can simply use clearTimeout or clearInterval. So ninjas, now let's move to our next topic, asynchrony in JavaScript. Normally JavaScript runs everything line by line, synchronously. In JavaScript, some tasks take time, like waiting for a timer to finish, or getting data from a server. Instead of stopping the whole program to wait, JavaScript keeps running other code. And when that task is ready, it comes back and runs that part. Now let's see one example. This will make everything super clear. Here's. First, task 1 runs immediately. Then, JavaScript sees setTimeout. It schedules that function to run after 2 seconds. But instead of waiting, it goes ahead and runs task 3. After 2 seconds are over, the callback function inside setTimeout runs and prints task 2. So even though task 2 was written before task 3, it ran later because JavaScript didn't wait. It continued executing the rest of the code first. That's exactly what asynchronous behavior means. The program doesn't stop or block while waiting. So ninjas, we already learned about timers like setTimeout and setInterval. But apart from timers, there are other things in JavaScript that also work asynchronously. So whenever we use something like a timer, data fetch, or an event, those are asynchronous. They don't block the main code, they just run in the background and come back later. Alright ninjas, that's it for timers and the basics of asynchronous JavaScript. Now head to JavaScript Ninjas and practice this 5 simple question until you feel comfortable with it. See you in the next lesson.